Welcome back to The Big Question, and it's time to discuss the question of extrajudicial killings. I'll just give you a quick background. As I said before we went to the break, we're focusing on the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights report that documents over 120 cases of human rights violations, including 25 extrajudicial killings and 81 enforced disappearances. They are saying that these extrajudicial killings may have been carried out by some of the following forces who've been engaged in counter-terrorism operations, including the Kenya Defence Forces, the National Intelligence Service, the Kenya Wildlife Services, county commissioners, chiefs, etc., and the anti-terrorism police unit. That's among others. For the purpose of this program, we are focusing on the National Police Service and in respect to the operations of the anti-terrorism police unit. I will reintroduce my guests to you. To my right is Charles Owino, who is the police spokesperson, and the CEO of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Patricia Nyaundi. You're both very welcome to the program. Charles, let me start with you with the case of the body of a woman, middle-aged woman, that was discovered yesterday. How far have police investigations gone into that particular killing, which is allegedly an extrajudicial death?
Fine, I'll keep the word extrajudicial a little while, because I would want chair of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, being a lawyer, at least to tell us what it means. It was a very popular word, and I have a catch for that. But what I would like to say first of all is that the lady whose body was found in Mandera yesterday, this lady had been reportedly missing from 4th, and then on 5th some others stumbled on this body, which was half buried. But what was the most strange thing that happened is that a very senior political leader yesterday tweeted the discovery of mass graves in Mandera and attributed it to forced disappearances. Fortunately, the OCS was called into the scene, the area, and the body was transferred to Garissa Hospital for postmortem. But now, because there were other areas that they were saying there could be bodies, we decided, according to law, to seek for a court order, which was done this morning. And the police officers, the county command, CID, the General Duty Police and the intelligence, and then the regional commission, the county commissioner, and the political leaders went to the scene, and they dug about 9 places. Unfortunately, they didn't find any bodies. But interestingly, the media had reported yesterday that 12 bodies had been found. And I know you are always present, and I don't know, we were asking ourselves, where are these bodies that had been found in these particular places? So so far, that is what has happened.
So you're saying 2 things to me. The first being that there's no such thing as mass graves, correct? Not according to
St. Owino. It is according to the factuality on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want that impression, because there tend to be a kind of people have found a very easy avenue where they accuse their security services, because they believe that we do not have a ground to explain ourselves, and it is taken. So it's not according to me, it's according to the factuality.
To the facts on the
and
ground.
I think you had a representative there today.
Patricia, tell us about that, because you had teams on the ground. There were those reports yesterday that, you know, there were at least 15 suspicious sites. Some went as far as calling them mass graves. Today, nothing was found.
Yes, when we had the reports, we also left this morning to verify the reports, and I can confirm what Owino is saying, that so far only 1 body has been discovered. But I would add that the other thing that is emerging is that a number of families have come forward to state that their persons have disappeared, and there is no explanation or any direction as to where these people could be. There is a consistent narrative again in Mandera that links up with our earlier findings regarding Wajir, Garissa, Mombasa, Lamu, people being picked up from their places of business being picked up from their homes, and after that they are not seen again, or when they resurface they are giving tales of having been tortured on suspicion of engaging in terrorist activities.
But just as far as these alleged grave sites are concerned, you do not believe there is a cover-up? You believe there were no bodies, in fact?
The search is still ongoing. So what I have by this evening is that I think, and that's what Mr. Owino has also said, that we are still on site seeking to confirm whether or not the graves that have been talked about are in existence.
But of the 25 that you have listed in your report, what has led you to conclude that these are in fact extrajudicial killings? And perhaps you could go as far as including the definition of the word, as Charles has alluded to.
Extrajudicial killing refers to those killings that are carried out usually by persons in authority. So, for instance, the police and other security agencies that are carried out in contravention of the law. I think our law is very clear. If the state is going to take the life of a person, under what circumstances it does this. So what we have evidenced are killings where persons are shot or persons are strangled. This then, if you can link it to state officers, would amount to an extrajudicial killing. And
what is the link for these 25 that you have included in your report that directly shows that the hand of the state was involved?
In a number of these cases, the persons were last seen being arrested by people that in some cases are positively identified, even by name, as police officers. In other instances, the persons are identified as people wearing military fatigue. So on that basis, we came to the conclusion that these were state officers.
Would you agree with the numbers, though, that are being listed here? I'm sure you will disagree that any of this is extrajudicial, but would you agree that there is evidence of about 120 cases of human rights violations, 25 suspicious killings, 81 enforced disappearances? Those numbers in the report, do you agree with them?
Number one, I'm a Kenyan, and I believe in protection of life, and that is my constitutional mandate, to protect lives. Patricia is actually a person who is a lawyer and an advocate of High Court, and maybe who has been even a magistrate, and she understands the procedure of law. That when a person dies in a circumstance that you suspect that he has been killed, then an inquiry into the cause of death is opened. And when an inquiry into the cause of death is opened, what happens that is put before a magistrate having jurisdiction. And this inquiry, we may not just rely on what the police gives you. You can have other people who can swear affidavits and give evidence. She has stated clearly that these are persons that were last seen being arrested by police. What maybe I would want to know from her is whether, like for example, now we are quite comfortable because we have the Independent Police Oversight Authority, which is independent from the police service. And it's a very good institution that they can use to open inquiries into the cause of death, because we do not want them as a commission to be trapped in a situation where they may be misused by perpetrators. You have given her a lot of time. Just give me time.
No, go ahead. But please come to your point.
Because I'm coming to my point. It's an explanation that they may find themselves in a very awkward position, equally to what the leaders yesterday found themselves in, where they are still now pretending to be looking for more sites. I don't know that they want to carry bodies from Somalia and bring and claim their new sites. But what I'm saying is that you cannot conclusively say police officers have killed 25 people, and we have not carried out an inquiry into the cause of these deaths. Because if you are just hearing from one group and then you conclude, and then it is as if it is only the security agencies that possess guns in this country, that they are only persons who have been trained and are capable of strangling people.
Wait, let me ask you about that, because in as far as IPOA, etc., you do have a raft of recommendations, and you have recommended that IPOA should investigate this matter separately. Whether or not that is actually decisive action from yourselves is a different story. But if it is not the police who are carrying out these killings? If it's not some sort of security apparatus, then who is roaming about the country responsible for these killings, while there is an autonomous and one should expect competent police service in place?
What I can tell you is that we don't have policemen everywhere. Even in your house now, when you go back, I don't think there's a policeman at your door. And there are possibilities that crime can be committed even against you, and it would be subject to investigations many a times. But we have a lot of scenarios that come about in the country. For example, if you go to Northeastern Province, you know very well we have had a lot of inter-clan wars, especially in Mandera, where comparatively, and I think Chair will agree with me, that the number of deaths that have occurred in Northeastern Province, if we tabulate in terms of clan fightings and the rest, is much more than the numbers that they are raising here. But it is immoral and unfair that people can accuse police officers for killing persons and put it in a document without an inquiry, a proper inquiry into the cause of this death. We would not want to over-accuse them, because they have a duty to monitor, they have a duty to investigate, they have a duty to report. But this must be done in a proper way. One, this report amounts to serious radicalization of people, because you are putting the people against the police, and the police are the security agencies. And remember that the most important thing that we must note is that as security agents, we must balance between giving up the civil rights, the individuals giving up a bit of their civil rights in exchange for security.
Patricia, why don't you respond to him on the caliber of your evidence collection?
Thank you very much. I think I would start off by saying I think it's unacceptable for the police to say that we cannot expect them to be everywhere. I think a primary responsibility of the government is to guarantee security for its citizens.
Protect life and property.
Yes, so one of the challenges I have had is for the police to dismiss these disappearances, these killings, by saying it is someone other than us, and therefore encouraging that the public should then stop bringing this to the door of the police. I think what we are saying as the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is that it is the security agencies that are charged with the responsibility of guaranteeing our security. The moment there is a problem, it is their problem.
The buck stops with them.
The buck must stop with them.
Whether they're at my house or
what I'm saying is that...
no, excuse me, Mr. Owino.
Go ahead.
Allow me. Now, with regards to our report, and we have documented the methodology that was applied, this report, the preliminary report, was made available to the police in September. And the expectation was that by now, the police would have come back to us and said, you have somebody in your report called X. We have carried out independent investigations, and we want to confirm to you that that person can be found at their home. Or alternatively, you have named this officer. We have carried out independent investigations. That officer is not a member of the National Police Service. So your facts are wrong.
Or we are even investigating them.
Or we are investigating. What I can confirm is that the National Police Service did invite us to their offices, and we had a discussion over this report. And we left there with a very good feeling that the National Police Service had taken this report seriously and would be investigating some of the issues and concerns that we had raised. I think that the issue...
And you think that's not happening?
I have not received a particularized response to this report.
Which makes you believe they're not taking it seriously? Which
makes me believe that either they are unable to rebut some of the issues that we have raised, or investigations are yet to be undertaken.
But one of the challenges that Charles has put to you is that if in fact your report is as bad as you're saying, there are avenues to take decisive action against a force that you're basically painting as rogue, and one of them would be to take your evidence to court and have the court compel them to do various things. Have you done that?
That's why this is a preliminary report. And having given the police opportunity to rebut, and based on the feedback we got from other people, we have gone back and have collected additional evidence to beef up some of the issues. So in the next 2 weeks or so.
Will you be suing the police service?
I think we'll be that would be the last alternative, but we want to believe that the police service takes seriously Article 244 of the Constitution, and they more than anyone else would want to portray the police as being professional and as respecting human rights. So we would hope that when the National Police Service receives our final report, when the KDF receives our final report, we will see serious action from the end. When they received our preliminary report, I think, as has been the practice in the past, people say, if you've not found us in the act, then you have not found us. I think what we are telling the National Police Service is we are seeing your fingerprints in this. So that's the issue. Just to say, there appears to be, on the face of it, strong evidence linking you to these deaths, to these disappearances, to reports of torture. What can you say in response to that?
Patricia has basically told you that if in 2 weeks when she releases her final report you do not take what in their opinion is serious action, you're going to be in court.
I want to tell you one thing, that Patricia is aware. I've just said that many a times the investigations that we carry are easily dismissed. You remember when I've just told you in the first instance about what happened yesterday in Mandera, and the first question you asked if there was no cover-up. We have an independent police oversight authority. I don't know the report, if they have received the report from them. But as you said, we invited them, and because they already had a report with them, and we had seen a lot of loopholes in the report that they had raised, we decided to write to them, and we called upon them that we could move together as a team, their investigative team and our investigative team, and we visit some of these scenes they were claiming to be mass graves and so on and so forth. But they declined to work with us, saying that that is not something they can do, to be with us in this particular thing. But we said, fine, if they are not with us in this particular, because we wanted to enhance transparency. Where they are present, we are present, we ask ourselves questions, because this is investigations. After all, we also have a mandate to comply with the constitutional standards of human rights and fundamental freedoms and dignity of this country. So they declined to that. But what I want to state clearly is that we are not dismissing disappearances of people. We are on the forefront, because you are aware that currently we even have a lot of radicalization taking place, and youths disappearing to Somalia, people going to Syria. We have a number of people who have moved to this. A number
of people could have taken them, yes, other than the police service. So, and unfortunately, sir,
but we have
we're out of time, sir. I beg your pardon. We're out of time. But I think you've made your point. Patricia Nyaundi, who is the CEO of Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and the police spokesman, Owino, you've both been gracious with your time. Thank you for that. And I suppose we'll see whether this matter does in fact end up at the courts. We'll be back with more news after this.